All right, I tried to put a title on this one, and the I don't know, the mobile live stream function's a little bit different than it was. But anyway, I was going to call this one, and I will get back to calling it this later. Well, I was originally say Dune 2, and then maybe like elaborate on the title, so that way you know what about Dune you're fucking tuning into. So other than the likelihood of, oh, a guy who saw Dune 2 and wants to talk about it. I'm just talking about it a little bit because obviously this is drive streaming. And what we got? We got Tricky Verse, is that right? Tricky Woo. Tricky Woo. Is that right? Get some light up here. Tricky Woo. Yeah, what's up, brother? All right. So, I enjoyed a great deal of getting to zone in on culture portrayed in the Dune movie, right? You get a proper sense that you don't get in the 1980s movie Grand Rising, Blue Kachina. You know it's Grand Rising. What is this morning? It is not a sad day. Sun salutations. Anyway, and so, like, because you get the culture of Atreides in the first movie. Now you get, and you get a hint of the culture of the Fremen, and now in this film, like, they give you a hint of the culture of Harkonnen. Obviously, I mean, you have to. I mean, you had, or if there's, because you just see scenes on Gedi Prime, right? In the 80s film, and I don't remember the details anymore of the 90 or the whatever the Sci-Fi Channel did their series, which was very good. I don't remember much, but I do recommend it. Okay, now we're good moaning. We are? Okay. All right, like, listen, I'm sure some people have something to moan about in the morning and in a good way. But that's not very universal. What's universal is that the start of the day is grand. Not everybody moans first thing in the morning. Oh, see? Look at what you've done to me. You tricked me. Anyway, in the rising. See, like, that's the idea. Like, you're replacing morning with rising, right? I mean, I could say grand morning, but now you're just making the sadness greater, right? What's greater? You want things to rise. So, you got to see something that I thought was impressive to see as a concept. With House Harkonnen, you got to see, like, this really cool gladiatorial games kind of thing, and a little bit of you got to see, like, Harkonnen women, and of course you're looking at the most distinguished feature. Wasn't like in the 80s film, everything was just industrial punk, right? Every little inch of it was just industrial punk. It was all like pipes and steam and like everything's made out of metal and whatnot. In this place, if it isn't a machine, it's actually made out of stone, and it's just postmodern brutalist architecture. Right? It's very, but it's very Roman at the same time. Right? It's like it's all like, it's probably, that's kind of what you're going for. It's like all the negative qualities of Rome. And one of the things I thought was interesting was in the gladiatorial scene. There's these supporting figures that are dressed all in black, and this is for like the big fight. They're there to make sure that that the Harkonnen who is showing off in the game doesn't get damaged at all by the guy that is trying to kill him. And so they got these long bladed to the sides heads, like scythes, right? In this all black affair. It's like a crescent moon shaped head with the horns of the moon facing down. And as a guy who plays Magic the Gathering, it's very Phyrexian. There's very specific. It's actually a very specific Phyrexian character who's kind of like one of the main characters of that species of magical entities in the game. That looks like that, although not crescent moon. It's a little bit more sharp angular, straight angular, but still. And so that kind of thing is it was just interesting to me to be like, okay, here's like, all right, Harkonnens have feelings, and they have deep feeling, like they get like riled up, like they love these games, like, for if there's something fucking human about them, you can at least see some of that, right? And they're just a fascist society. Like they got their own like there's a fucking salute, and we all know this salute, especially if you're a fucking bear. That's Pink Floyd. That's The Wall. That's the rock star dictator's fucking thing, right? It's the crossed hammers. So they're doing like the whole scene is like a tribute to all of that kind of dystopianism, right? Gaiety Prime is just it's just dystopia world, plain and simple, right? It's how they project everything about who and what they are in the Empire. And the scenes are all shot in black and white. What you really got going on here is that instead of them looking like super ugly, like people they've experimented on will look super ugly. But no, like they're just like they're transhumanists, and I'm looking at them like, oh, this is very obvious. In our ancient future, which is also our ancient past, this was the timeline of man that decided to work with the Drow, with the Dark Elves. This is they're turning into the Zeta Reticula style gray. Their eyes are blacker. They got like men, women, no hair. Everybody's of a very uniform kind of frame. And all the quote like sameness of it and everything else, and here you are, the whole world, that's a whole society like that. Everybody's good with it. And because like the only downside is that a little bit of disobedience and your throat gets cut, because there's going to be plenty more of you. You're at the height of your civilization, ranks are replaceable, you have an idea of it. For the most part, everybody's fine, everything's going swimmingly, right? It's just like, it's all the things that come with having high morale, right? There's high morale, and the high morale makes the mind control effective, because the high morale puts everything in the pleasure principle, which is why someone who loves pain passes the test of the Gom Jabbar. It's very interesting that they have it like that. Like, I don't know how things go down in the book. I'm assuming that Faye goes to the Gom Jabbar in the book, and obviously he lives, because I'm pretty sure in the book he also has that death duel, because it's in everything that I've seen. Yep. Right. Yeah, and I'm probably spoiling things, so that's why I had to open up saying I wanted to talk about it. Like me uttering the name means that you're warning that it's a fucking a spoiler, right? And so then on the other side of the equation, you have you've got the Fremen. You get into the whole bit. It's just that, like, there are they use the term. It's not used in the because the 80s film, it's all white guys in the 80s film, right? Like, it's all white people. So it's just like your young brain doesn't register that they're trying to depict anything other than white people living in the mountains, and that's all that the movie's really trying to show you, right? And this, like, you get it. It's just like, oh, I'm like in Afghanistan or something, living in the fucking caves. Hey, what's up, Brandon? I'm talking about Dune, obviously. Faith is the book, this lady begging him to have his baby, right? No Gom Jabbar. That's fascinating. I do like this angle that they're playing with, but that's like, I would have to know the books better to gauge how much I'd be offended as a nerd by that. Yeah, that's interesting, because there is something because, like, sadism, right? And so, because I also like that, because in the way we see the Dune universe here, like, the cunning of Baron Harkonnen is, if he ever wants one of his family on the Imperial throne, they're going to have to pass the Gom Jabbar, and he knows that he doesn't make Harkonnens of Gom Jabbar quality. Like there's probably a lot of, like, fucking Duncan could probably pass the Gom Jabbar, because he's just a fucking solid dude, right? But my point is, like, if I make him love pain, right? Because that's just like, you work hard under pressure or whatever. Like I'm sure Christopher Walken's character was was under the Gom Jabbar when he was a boy, etc., etc. Because it's been like that for what, millennia in the Dune universe? The Duniverse. That's right, the Duniverse. Let me see here. I think I'm 5 minutes late, so I gotta cut it off right here. But my point is that you will see in that movie, you get the fundamentalists or whatever, but their god, like, so what does it mean? Because, it looks Islamic or whatever, but they worship the dragon, they worship the worm, they worship Shai Hulud, which is what they call the biggest of worms. And so, they have their little battle. They call a worm to eat up the corpses. I mean, like, there's an environmental reason for that, but that's just an offering. That's just like when you have a war god, a portion of the spoils of the war goes back to the land, right? It goes back, we saw that in the Northmen. They do the whole Viking raid in the beginning, and then they leave the offerings at the totem to the Allfather. The totem, right? That's the thumper is the worm totem, and it summons the worm the way a totem of Odin summons the Allfather, and thus the raven shows up. Okay, so you're seeing all of this really cool. It's just like the Semitic people have a pagan heritage that is, wrapped up in the Abrahamism that is being confused in some way, shape, or form. And, when ancient cultures got very odd ways in which they symbolize the conveyance of their values and what was the oldest and proper ways of doing things and what it means to get with the times in such that isn't so offensive to sensibilities of the good, true, and the beautiful. All right, I'll catch you guys later. I am late for work.